Hi friends, host Eric here. Host talking with famous people. And my core zone, my heart, is filled with portent and gladness. Kankan Krishna Sarma Pagoo. Hello, how are you today? Is your heart also filled with portent and gladness? If so, welcome to the party. If not, go away. I'm just joking. Even if your heart's not filled with portent and gladness, you are welcome. I need to get a nose blowing thing. Ah, there it is. I did find it. Oh, I picked at it too much. You know, my nose requires so much maintenance on so many levels. It's ridiculous. I gotta pluck the hairs from inside my nose. I grow hairs on top of my nose, like black hairs. So I gotta pluck those. I get little worms in my nose, and I squeeze it to get the worms out. And these are spots where I picked at too much, and I made them bleed, and then that happens. Oh well. So last night I had an interesting experience that I'd like to share with everybody about debate. I judged a round. It was between probably two undefeated kids in the 6th round. And yeah, I'm gonna pass on that one, Octavio. They were both good. I'm pretty sure they were both undefeated. And it's like Tab knows who the good judges are. You don't have a whole lot of good judges in JVLD because most of the judges are parents. Because the good judges go to varsity LD, where TOC bids are on the line, and the tournament has to produce excellent judging, like top quality judging, or else they'll lose their bids. It's extremely prestigious for a tournament to have TOC bids, and Berkeley has as many as any other tournament in the country, basically. So it's a major. It's as major as it gets. Berkeley and Green Hill are the two that come to mind for me. But regardless, in JV it's different because they take all the best judges and put them in the ones that have bids where they have to be that high quality. That means the other divisions don't get very good judges necessarily. And but there were a couple people. There was at least 3 judges I saw there that I knew personally that are great judges who were judges for my league, and a former debater of mine, Vincent, who was state champion in public forum as an 8th grader, and who remains one half of my only state champion in public forum or anything. My only state champion ever. Okay, so wow, I guess I'm boring people. I'm losing them. Do I enjoy watching debates? I enjoy watching good debates. I'm sure I would have enjoyed watching a number of the debates that I've been judging in varsity. And the thing is, I could probably contact the tournament right now and get hired to judge varsity the rest of the day, which I probably should do because I could probably make a fair chunk of change doing that. Rachel and I would get back late, but I might do that because they said, if you're interested if varsity LD judges are interested in being hired, shoot us an email. And they have my RFDs and stuff, like, my feedback that I wrote for the debaters from my previous rounds. They also have my speaker points that I awarded them in the previous rounds, and that allows them to do what's called judge variance. Judge variance is after a tournament's over, you can pretty scientific-y like that. the way that it pairs shit and in the big real tournaments is extremely fairness prioritizing. So, for example, judges have to have paradigms up that explain how they judge, and then students do judge prefs too, and then they pair the rounds. If you hate that judge, your opponent also hates that judge. You see what I'm saying? Judge prefs. That's like serious. I mean, it's really impressive if you think about it. It's basically one of the most impressive things in the history of mankind. The way it's so meta. It's insane. I love being here this weekend. I'm grateful to my clients for wanting to have their kid go here and have them compete and stuff. He went 3-3. He didn't break, but it's not bad for JVLD at Berkeley. Actually, 3-3 is not bad. And there was one round that he definitely should have won, but he made a boneheaded decision. Made a, not a boneheaded decision. He kind of had a brain fart, and he argued a certain aspect of his case wrong that he knew better. I'd gone over it with him. We'd gone over it. It was just user error. There's no other way to put it. And it's not like I'm upset at him or anything. Shit happens. But it was basically his opponent tried to argue that eliminate means all, and since he wasn't eliminating all, then it was non-topical. Except our case was that he was arguing that we ought to eliminate all. But ought and will are different things. Saying that we ought to eliminate all means something different than we will eliminate all. And he failed to make that argument. And hey, Amber Thrasher, thank you. How kind of you. You are a wonderful and kind human being whose contributions to this community will never be forgotten. Amber Thrasher, everybody. Here to the people. She's arrived. Hi, Sarah ESFP. Yeah, no, yeah, he's, we're cool. He understands what happened now. I didn't act mad at him or anything. He also, in the last round, I guess he finally hit something he didn't really feel prepped for. What happens if somebody ran a CP, he should have run his CP block. I don't know. I don't know if he did. I think at that point he was all mixed up in his head about a lot of things, probably, because he had 5 rounds. And the thing is, we have a CP block that basically says you can't run a CP in Lincoln Douglas. It's kind of a theory argument, but it's also based just simply on the fact that we're not running a plan, so how can you be running a CP? We're just affirming the resolution through the only agent that you want possibly confirm the resolution through, the UN. The thing is, it's a little disappointing, is he lost twice on AF, and he should never have lost that AF case. It was one of the best AF cases I've ever made. It's pretty airtight. It's just like, it's got no angle. There's no angle to take it down. It seals all the net ground. It's perfectly legitimate. It's the most legitimate interpretation of the resolution. And nobody really thought of it before, So it's like I saw a couple of times where people sort of half reference the general idea of my case in their cases, but it doesn't seem as though any other coach fully got it. The resolution was written based on this thing called the TPNW, Treaty for the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, which makes all nuclear weapons internationally illegal, so to speak. But even proponents of it don't say that it's actually going to produce a nuclear weapon-free world, that there will be that additional work will be needed to even begin a process by which nations accept a planned drawdown of nuclear arsenals, you know? So it's odd. It's odd that I'm the only one who got there with this, but I didn't get there right away either. The first thing I did was kind of a straddle case because I was like, what the fuck is this thing, this resolution? It doesn't seem to have any agent you can operate with. It's the problem. I'm out of my FI grip. Oh, good. I didn't know you were in your FI grip. But I'm certainly glad to know you're out of it regardless. So anyway, enough talking about sort of the awesomeness of debate mechanics in general. I want to discuss this particular round I saw last night. It was an ENTP versus an INTP. It's easy it was easy to type them both. They're probably both 9th or 10th graders. I didn't ask, but I'm guessing. So here's the thing. It played out it played out kind of like you'd expect. The INTP won, and the ENTP, it turned out, by the time I had finished watching the whole round, had gotten to be where he was, which is in the 6th round undefeated. He was 5-0 going into the 6th round, and so was the INTP. But the ENTP ultimately had gotten there with smoke and mirrors, okay? He had keyed in on this particular approach towards nibs, which is necessary but insufficient burdens. Basically, he'd ask a bunch of questions about, well, he spent most of his questioning time looking at the opponent's evidence and then identifying what, random elements of thing that the opponent's evidence didn't declare, like, well, it doesn't actually state explicitly there's a link here between this and nuclear weapons. Because people build cases out of warrants that are partial, out of different cards, and try to establish their case as best they can, and then go from there. Well, the ENTP had basically, as far as I could tell from this one round that I watched, won 5 rounds by dismantling the warrants of everybody he had come up against. Just saying, you didn't do this, you didn't do this, this thing doesn't actually say this, he's misrepresenting his evidence, blah, 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 blah. He's just like basically doing a shred of everybody's debate case based on the fact that it's a debate case, okay? Like, of course, I'm aware, though, because he probably hasn't had any great judges either. So he's been able to get by on smoke and mirrors. And mostly what he does is, at least when he was on NEG, which is he had his own case too, but and his own case was, he built his own case so that it withstood this kind of argument that he was making against the other person's case. In other words, he'd filled it with specific examples, which he was basically presenting as a preferable means of substantiating something without explicitly saying it. And he'd frame-walked probably all of his opponents and his judges straight through the first 5 rounds with this shit. And it was good smoke and mirrors. For a second, I had bought the fact that he had like 4 separate warrants in the rebuttal until the INTB pointed out that there were 4 separate restatements of the same warrant that were restated in clever ways so that they sounded like different warrants. At first, it fooled me for a second. It's like, that's how good this ENTP was at bullshitting, okay? And then the INTP, though, was better at dismantling bullshit. And as soon as the INTP started digging into the bullshit a little bit, then the ENTP started to unravel because, like, okay, now he's got to bullshit back up his bullshit, and it's getting more difficult, right? So, and then at the end, by the end the ENTP was trying to spend this card that only talked about nuclear weapons and their deterrent as expressing that only nuclear weapons deterred. So he was trying to spend, the fact that it was about one topic and not others as making the argument that it had exclusive claim to this vector of deterrence, which, neither the INTP nor I was ever going to let slide, So, and then at the end of the round, the ENTP, like, he wanted to sort of be like, okay, but, because I disclose and give my RFD, and then the debaters have a chance to, basically yell at me or question me or whatever if they disagree. And the ENTP sort of started down this path, and I'm just like, yeah, and he's like, turned the evidence to me, and I was like, this is how you presented it. This is how you're trying to spin it. That's fine. Not begrudging you that, but it's bullshit, and here's why. And explained it all out. And the INTP, it was funny because in the round, like, the INTP is you can see in his face this horror, like, oh shit, the judge is going to be buying this shit. I can tell the judge is going to buy this shit. I've encountered this before. Judges buy this shit. Oh my God, he's going to win this round, and he has no business winning this round. But I could read it in the INTP's face. And I just wanted to say, don't worry, dude. I'm way ahead of you. I am way ahead of you. Like, I wrote down a lot of the shit that the NAG said, the AF said in its final 3-minute speech, in advance. Like, what the INTP said in his final 3-minute speech, I had written down before the INTP made his final 3-minute speech. It was my final 3-minute speech for him too, and he has matched mine perfectly. So of course that means he made all the arguments. But what I was saying, like, here's the things that are wrong with what you're doing, ENTP. Let's see if the AF actually catches it. If the AF to make those arguments, then I go with the ENTP. It's whoever wins on the flow. But the AF was an INTP. He made all his arguments, and he was absolutely correct, and he had nothing to worry about. I totally understood him. I knew where he was coming from. I was way ahead of him. And yeah, INTP won the round. It's like, he probably has, a kid probably has an ENTP coach, I would guess. Yeah, the INTP seemed so stressed throughout the whole round. It was funny. I just wanted to just sort of like, relax. You have a good judge. I'm fine. No, he's not fooling me. Don't worry. And the funny thing is, once we, at the end of the thing, when I said, look, he turns the evidence around to me. I said, and he's like, but it only says something about nuclear weapons. He's still expecting his warrant to work. I'm like, but you are presenting it as exclusive. The vector was exclusive to nuclear weapons. It says nothing about that in this card. And that's what he told me. And he was absolutely correct about that. And I was way ahead of him. In fact, I wrote it down before he even said it. No. And then I presented it, the whole thing out again. I said, now, would you agree that's what happened? I said, that after the INTP? He's like, yeah. And we both looked at the other guy, and he's just like, yeah, okay. So, and the INTP was, at the end of it, was like, thank you for judging. They all say thank you for judging, especially the winners. But you could tell he was genuinely like, thank you for being a good judge, and being able to see through that bullshit. And it is gratifying for me to be a good judge. I know that the kids deserve that. They deserve somebody who's willing to tell them who won, that is to say, disclose, like ideally you should, and give RFDs and sit there and face their questionings if they think you judged it wrong. That's, it's not the least you can do, but it's what they deserve. I'm very emo right now. My heart is filled with portent and gladness. What I mean by that is everything seems important. Every decision seems important right now. Like, not just right now, but increasingly forever. Like, there's little room in my life for carelessness anymore. Carelessness in word or action or anything, really. I have to say that Rachel and I have just had just basically ate and was just steadily joyous time together. It's like I really I don't remember ever having so anything remotely as smooth and pleasant and mutually gratifying relationship wise as this is. Of course, we're sort of on vacation here, but yeah, it's great. The thing is, she and I are on the same page about SI basically. Um, it's well, we're on the same page about SE. SE needs to happen, but it also needs to be very much constrained by SI. Like, but I'm tired now, so I need to go back and lie down. Or okay, but I don't feel like that now. I just want to sit around in a hotel room for a while. It's like it's critically important that people be enabled to do that shit if they feel like it, because if they do feel like it, it means they're intuitives and they're not actively valuing SE properly very much. And as a consequence, forcing them to do otherwise is ontologically assaultive, so to speak. Can I have a malted ontology milkshake, please? It's made with identity flavored ice cream. So, a quick apology in advance to Rachel's father, but one of the things that makes life so happy for me, and hopefully believe as well for Rachel, is having sexual intercourse with her is just spectacular. It's I'm just so satisfied. And it's not something that's historically been very important to me, frankly. It's like everyone in their physical real world shit can suck it. I'm tired of concrete stuff. I don't care about objects. I don't care about sex. I don't care about stupid physicalities, But when shit on that dimension is like right, then yeah, fuck doing shit, It's like everybody can't be doing stuff all the time. Come on now. We gotta play a lot. Rachel and I both like to play a lot. Rachel likes to sleep a lot. She's still in bed. She went to bed around the same time I did. So she's, pushing into her ninth hour now, I guess, of sleep. Yeah. Objects won't ever make an intuitive feel better. It or an action type probably. It's like being an action type is man. Ask Eric what ESFPs are about. I gotta leave, unfortunately. ESFPs, in some sense, you could argue that they're ESTPs who put themselves in the other person's shoes, but it's like ESFP FI tool functions as putting yourself in the other person's shoes on the assumption that the other person, like you, can handle a bunch of FI up and downs instrumentally and not actually value them. So there's something kind of emotionally assaultive about ESFPs on people who have FI in a absolute value slot. Same with ENFPs, because both of them think that FI is instrumental. In other words, this probably will make you feel bad, but you shouldn't treat that as an absolute value. It should be factored in as relevant, but yeah. They probably don't think it out like that, but I don't know. If Cloud is in fact an ESFP, which probably he is, I mean, he certainly seems extroverted in text here, but of course it's just in chat, and he's provocative, as ESFPs often are. It would seem like it's a good type for him. Sarah, ESFP, what will you tell us about it, Fancy Deluxe? I want to understand what it's like to use FI as a tool function. I would like to understand better because I'm not an FI user. I'm FI polar, and I talk about these things a lot. But okay, well, Cloud, you know what kind of function did you just display there in the value matrix? What kind of function? And you say, I was typed by someone credible. What are you demonstrating there? I begin to wonder if I'm a different type than INFP. Well, if you are an INFP, that's consistent with that. No, TE, Cloud. TE. That's displaying TE when you say I was typed by someone credible. In other words, you're not providing me good reasons that are convincing to believe you're an ESFP. You're saying, I've delegated the reasoning to somebody else who's credible. In other words, you can trust this source, this expert, and his reasoning presumably is sound. It doesn't matter. You're still delegating responsibility for the deliberative process. It doesn't matter. Listen to me, Cloud. Listen to me. Listen. It doesn't matter why you've chosen that individual onto whom to delegate your deliberative process. It's the choice to delegate that's instructive here. Yeah, look, sources, the idea of trusting sources is a TE approach as opposed to a TI approach. TI says, I will deliberate this myself because it's a matter about which I'm comfortable deliberating. So it does so. TE says, this is not a matter about which I naturally am comfortable deliberating. So I'll delegate that to some trusted source. Now, similarly with FI, I'm an FI user. I will determine my own feelings, no problem. So I don't need to ask people a lot of advice about something an FI person is likely to ask unless it's a means to get to express their own FI. I do think my understanding of FI is limited, Cloud. I want to understand it better, but I also think I'm limited to the extent that I can understand it really because I don't really have a lot of depth or nuanced experiences with it. But what I'm trying to do now is explain that there's a corollary to the TE thing, which is TE people delegate TI deliberation. Presumably then, FE people delegate FI deliberation. And I'm not exactly sure how I do that. Probably by talking it out with you on the internet and expressing my feelings and externalizing it. Being an extroverted intuitor means that I do most of my action on the external metaphysical plane. And I am talking out my emotions. Like I got very emotional earlier when I was talking about something that made me very emotional. I don't remember what it was now. That's FI polar as well. In general, things that have deep emotions within you stay with you for stretches of time. In fact, you remember the emotions more than you remember necessarily what it even links to, or before you remember what it links to. I've determined this through experience, which is one form of empirics. It's like I've had the experience of remembering an emotion, re-feeling an emotion before I remember what the emotion's about. The example I typically have used is this one time I was going into 7-Eleven And I was feeling a lot of anxiety before I was going into the 7-Eleven because I was thinking about some sort of banking issue that I had going on. And then I went into 7-Eleven, anxious about it again. And then I remembered the banking issue. And to me, that is demonstrative of how the FI links somehow to metaphysical things, but is existent physically without that link, So that was an instructive experience for me. Is it fair to call that empirical data? Yeah, it is fair to call that empirical data. I have an experience of remembering, quote unquote, or re-experiencing an emotion before being able to put the link to what it links to. So I can definitively determine some things there. It's like, TI can do its job now with some piece of actual data. So what I'm talking about right now is portent and joy. I am feeling very joyful right now, in the sense that debate, being able to be a good judge, and when a debater really needs one, like in that round, IHP versus EHP, and the good judge makes it such that when that round's over, both parties are satisfied, and both parties were satisfied. Not both parties were happy, but both parties were satisfied. Nobody left that round going back and complaining to their coach they got robbed. And that means a lot, It matters a lot. I just noted that Vsauce had just uploaded a video called "How Many Holes Do Humans Have?" It's a good question humans have. It's hard for me because I'm an empath. I don't understand what you mean by that, Cloud. What's hard for me? Emotions? I don't think of emotions as being necessarily hard for me. I think of them as being it's like there's this worrisome thing that, oh, okay. Do you think I'm an empath, Cloud? The way I discovered my type was process of elimination. Well, that's TI for you. Are you a TI user, email anthrax? I can guarantee you probably you are not an FI user. Because look, it's the same thing I said about the difference between okay, yeah. The difference between FI and TI is based in the two shirts, right? The ENFP shirt, vegan AF, proclaiming some element of the self that you really believe in a kind of a edgy way or whatever, versus what would Gigi Allen do? That's not expressive at all of your actual feelings, right? It's pointing out something that's absurd on a universal level, but the links to you on a coolness level, and all that stuff, right? Email anthrax is a perfect example of TI over FI. You're not expressing something that's some value of yours. You don't actually want to. You don't like anthrax in any sense. It's just a funny idea. And so you're presenting it as, doesn't using this funny idea as representing me make me seem cool? And the answer is yes, it does. Versus vegan AF, which is, doesn't this shirt reveal to you how little I care about seeming cool? And you go, yes, it does, on both accounts, When people see me, they assume I am the INTP stereotypical archetype, but really I'm an INFP, so it's weird. That just means your moisture is a little damper, your dampness is a little wetter, and your wetness is a little moister. That's what it means, okay? So, I always talk about my hardships. I mostly feel sorry for myself. Is that turned into me? Um, I always talk about my hardships. Are you sure you're talking about me? I mean, like, wait, I think I mostly feel sorry for myself because I always talk about my hardships. I like to talk about all aspects of shit going on, positive, negative. This one's been very positive. I do negative shit. No apologies necessary. I'm just curious. Um, IDKY, but Eric seems very emotionally mature to me in terms of perspective. I'd like to think I mean, emotionally mature is a weird thing to say. I would like to think I'm philosophically mature, which is like, I understand what I ought to prioritize in general. I try to prioritize what I ought to prioritize in general. And, I try to be a force of good in the universe. I recognize my own proclivities to where I might not be so good, where I might be a little, brutalizing. There are areas in life where I can be brutalizing towards people. It goes along with the territory of not being the one who's not afraid to stand up and say something, right? Like the other day, the Foster's freeze. There was this down on his luck gentleman who was being kind of provocative, you know, leaning on the Foster freeze counter. The Foster freeze is like open to the sidewalk, right? It's just a storefront. You walk right up to it from the sidewalk. There's a counter there you can order, and then a pickup window, right? So there's this fairly provocative gentleman who was standing there and leaning on the counter, and the proprietor asked him to leave, and he didn't, and back and forth, yada yada. Eventually, I said to him, nobody else was saying anything. He said, "She wants me to leave," all kind of muttery, but for us to hear. And I said, "Well, then you should leave. It would be the respectful thing to do. It's her establishment after all." And he said, "Well, since you put it like that, you're a gentleman. All right, I will leave." And it was weird, but shit like that happens to me. Why does shit like that happen to me all the time? It's just like the next day we had almost a repeat scenario, the same thing, but the person left, on their own. I've had this series of like vignettes occur as I've been here, each of which seems to inform this general issue of what to do about homelessness, which has been in my head, and State of the Union, and just sort of presidential style thinking. Like, how can I actually do? How can I make an important positive difference in the country that changes its course in ways that are meaningful long term if I were to attain the presidency? It's something everybody who even ever considers maybe running for president ever should be spending a lot of their time thinking about, right? If you're going to take on that kind of scope of a responsibility. I think the people that focus on the beauty of their sentences lose the focus of their actual meaning. I think on Rachel and your relationship, I had the idea that maybe certain types want life to be easy and others want to feel rough and tumble. I guess Yang, maybe. I don't know. He's kind of a socialist, really, as far as I can tell, but I haven't really researched him much. Oh, Rachel's sleeping. Let's see if I can give you a better shot of her. See, what you can see there is the right side of her face. Oh, did he? I don't know. I mean, like, I'd vote for Bloomberg, probably. This hotel room is at the Holiday Inn Express here in Berkeley, and it's been quite comfortable. I've been happy to stay here. Yeah, I've enjoyed it. It's been nice. Rachel's happy when she's not forced to do too much shit. She doesn't. It's not this. I like what you said here. First of all, let me just backtrack a second. When you say, thinking on Rachel and your relationship, I have the idea that maybe certain times want life to be easy and others want to feel rough and tumble. I think it's considerably more involved than that, probably. It's like where most people get pushed in life is SE. SE or FE or maybe TE, depending on your circumstances. It's going to be an extroverted area. Occasionally people get pushed in NE, and a lot of people hate that. It's like, get up and give an impromptu speech. What? No, what? You've got to give me a lot of time to think about this before I have to get up and give a speech. You don't just spring that on me. It's like society has decided that it's not acceptable to spring NE on people. Like, you have to NE now because it's too small a percentage of the population is capable of doing that. But society thinks it's perfectly acceptable to impose SE on people, or FE or TE. So depending, it's like, now if you aren't socially graceful enough, we're going to pathologize you. You're no longer a normal person. You're on the Asperger spectrum or something like that. Some bullshit like that is pathologizing backslot FE, basically. A TE polar people, like Kimberly, got put into special ed when she was a kid. And, what was the justification? It's probably TE reasons. But, TE polar is the sort of thing that people end up getting yelled at by TE people all the time. Basically, like, what do you mean you couldn't figure out how to do this? It's so simple. God, why did you do it such a stupid way? Oh my God, like that kind of shit. If you're TE polar, you're going to hear a lot of ontological abuse regarding that shit. And then think about SE polar. But all you need to do is just follow through and do these couple of little steps. It's like nobody's got any. You're called lazy. People will ontologically assault you in various ways depending on what your polar is. I am fortunate. I have a polar in which people don't really ontologically assault me for it. To the extent they would, they'd call me. Come on, I mean, it's like when I do get assaulted for it, it's like another FI polar person, like Taylor making this video about how I'm a narcissist and a creep, right? That would be, I guess, assaulting my FI polar, except none of those things are true. It's like, I'm not a narcissist, I'm not a creep. Just because I busted Becky's chops about cheating, I got called a narcissist and a creep. I mean, it's like, the reality, of course, is she cheated on her boyfriend. Maybe it was bad of me to call it out publicly or whatever. But I tried to call out privately, and she wouldn't have a conversation with me. Regardless, why am I being called a narcissist and a creep when she's the one who cheated on her boyfriend and was a bad house guest? Well, whatever about that. you know, it's like, I don't know if that's fourth slot NI. I don't know if that's polar FI, a combination of the two. I assaulted you with TI the other day. You felt broken. Well, I don't know, Cloud. That's not the point. The point is, um, she made it an issue by her behavior at our house when she got there. But whatever. I don't want to go over old drama. The point is, what do you what does one see when one looks around the world? One sees various types ontologically assaulting other types based on their polars. So when I, mad Cloud, I was in fact pointing out that his polar made it such that he was unable to engage with me in the manner in which he was attempting over and over again to engage with me. I wasn't, however, invalidating his modality. I was just simply saying, no, Cloud, you can't do this. It's not working. It's not going to work. That's not what you think it is. You're getting it all wrong. Just as I'm sure any FI user with good competence would do the same with me if I'm FIing wrong. But I'm not even sure how that would work. So, it's supervision. Are you an INFP supervisor? Oh, yeah, you are. I think your FE is developed so well it appears you don't have FI polar. I mean, look, the thing is, FI polar is misunderstood. FI polar does not necessarily countervalue feelings. In fact, it treats them as an absolute value, but it's just a factor we forget to think about. Like, there's been plenty of occasions when, like, for example, Winston's mom one time when we were on vacation in Hawaii said something like, "It was your dad's vision," and she really painted a picture of how my dad was probably thinking about the trip going into it and what his expectations were and it made me put myself in his shoes and feel like, okay, I sort of get how he feels more, and I see how that informs this whole thing significantly. It's not so much that I'm incapable of factoring in FI considerations as I'm unlikely to remember to do so on my own, and that when I do factor them in, they're kind of processed into a TI equivalency first, uh, rather than felt through per se. Uh, and neither Rachel nor I know how to express FI in ways that aren't very weird and um, like disabled kind of. We both get very like with our FI. It's just like when we're feeling a lot, we want to like kind of squeal a little bit or something. Derek, let me ask you a very simple question. Did you notice how extroverted perceiving dominants have this chaotic, explosive temperament? Not necessarily. Some of them do, but most. Right? I don't know about the quantities, but there's definitely that would depend on mostly Enneagram type, I think. A childlike, yeah, it's a very childlike function. FI polar is especially childlike because FI kind of links to the child within all of us, right? The part that gets their feelings hurt and cares about things for subjective reasons with subjective attachments, as they say. I am happy. I'm fulfilled feeling. I feel as though life continues to present me with a series of meaning each other and within a given framework. And, starting to understand the world and life as more and more as scripted for me in some sense. I've been practicing what I would call NI craziness, just to see how it feels lately. And some examples of this are right now we're sitting on a bench on Telegraph Avenue near the campus and sort of watching people walk by. And it was so easy to describe as the ridiculous, the ridiculously obvious choices of central casting, sending this extra and then this extra, and like the diversity spread was just like perfect. As we're talking about this, all of a sudden, two pigeons come and land right in front of us and start doing something, and I'm running commentary, like, just act like a normal bird. I'm sure they're not going to notice us. Oh, wow, that kind of stuff. The whole Berkeley trip felt like this, as various scenes and vignettes link so clearly and distinctly to each other, should I choose to present it as such. Now, I recognize that there's a fallacy implicit in NI nut job stuff, but on the other hand, there are times when it just seems to be, my life seems to lack verisimilitude. Verisimilitude, for those who have not heard the term before, refers to believability in a work of art, a story, narrative of some sort. So, for example, if you're writing a story and your character is chased up to a rooftop, and the way you get him to escape this predicament is it just so happens somebody left a hang glider on top of the roof. Well, that would lack verisimilitude. Like, that's not believable. What, since when do people just leave hang gliders on top of roofs? That doesn't make any sense. You'd have to set that up in advance. For example, he'd have to somehow scout it out and know there's a guy there who has a hang glider, and particularly seek out that building in order for that to be believable. To just happen upon the one building that happens to have a hang glider upon it when you're running up and down random buildings lacks verisimilitude. It's not going to be believed by your readers or your watchers, and they're going to go like, come on now. So what I'm saying is my life seems to lack verisimilitude. I have had these sort of challenges put before me here for this trip. Being sick, having that banking issue with dollar rent-a-car I still have to deal with when I get back. Missing a round, missing my first round because for some reason, fucking Sprint, my Sprint is horrible. I got Sprint as my phone carrier. Why? Because it was the first phone store I saw when I walked into the mall. I didn't think I cared which one I went with. Don't go with Sprint. They've got a shitty network. It's like the tab room software, which requires you indicate what your network is in order for them to send you text, doesn't send text to my phone. So I missed the first round. So then I had to say to the people, like, come on, please don't find me. I'll judge the rest of these prelim rounds more than I have to. And which I then did, and they took full advantage of that to not charge me the $75 fine. The tournament, this whole trip, there's a lot of little things that have gone wrong. It could have been tower card moment the whole trip long, really. Rachel saved the day by providing some additional monies into the equation that we needed. The tournament agreed with me, like, okay, that's fine. We won't fine you. You go ahead and do that. That was good, which got me to judge more rounds, which is a good thing because it's helpful for me. It's helpful for the debaters. It's a good thing to do. It's the sort of thing that FI people understand, maybe, that it takes me a long time to understand, that it is worthwhile judging just because you are a good judge and the kids deserve that. you don't. It's okay to do something. It's like that's the best charity you can do, really, Eric. If you wanted to be charitable, you could offer to go judge debate tournaments. Those kids deserve the right judge who makes the right decision every time, who can explain it and justify it every time, and at least both debaters satisfied at the end of the round that they've undergone a fundamentally fair and just endeavor. No, I don't think Dark Phoenix, he's talking about me. I think he's talking about no. Yeah. I am not an INFP. There is one person that I know, at least on the internet, who types me as an INFP. And there's at least one person who types me as ESTP. And then there are the rest of the same people on the internet who type me as ENTP. What's on schedule? Well, we need to be out of here before noon. And the plan is to drive back to Los Angeles. Now, I'm still considering it's possible that if I finish this live stream, I might, I gotta talk to Rachel about it, but I could get hired to judge additional rounds today. I could use the money and we could stay here and get a later start back home. We have to check out before noon, so I could go judge a round, come back, get Rachel, judge another round or two, and then bail, make a little extra money. Eric's ISFJ. That's wow. That is a shock to the system to discover all of a sudden that I'm ISFJ. Wow. Look at him. Obviously ISFJ. I mean, I could. I mean, or we could just split. I'll talk to Rich about it when I'm done with this. Do I ever get tired of people trying to argue my type? No. I mean, I don't actually really see anybody trying to argue my type as very serious. I see it consistently as either like an FE thing, somebody trying to position themselves as an expert, or trying to call into question my level of expertise, trying to discredit me or whatever. I say generally is that, or it might be on some occasions somebody like Cloud who's probably just trying to be provocative, trying to initiate some sort of debate, quote unquote, or whatever. I suspect mostly it's people who hate me that type me as something other than need to be, because they want to delegitimize or invalidate me in general. So, it's fine. The thing is, nobody who comes in here, nobody successfully types me as something else in a meaningful way. Yeah, I would love to have an argument with somebody where they did a good job of mistyping me and made the arguments well, and gave me a run for my money or something. But never happened heretofore. People can call me whatever they want. If they want to convince me, they'll need to come and have an argument to my face. What do you mean he answered my challenge? I said I'd be happy to talk to him anytime. What do you mean he answered my challenge? I haven't got any email from him. The way he's answered my challenge. Email Anthrax says, I think he's different from the ISFJ. He feels like an extrovert and he's informative. He seems control with the speech patterns. I ever couldn't pick out his type without knowing him better. Oh, Eric, to hate someone, you have to care for this person first. It's weird when you're not confident in a debate and know that they can use that FE against you. Yeah, Christina Bowman. INTJs have an interesting situation. Okay, Cloud, here. I'll briefly make you a moderator so you can post a link, okay? And I'm going to take you off of moderator. Go ahead and post your link. Can you just email me? Can the guy just not simply email me? Okay, let's meet here and now or whatever. It's not that difficult. Why do I have to watch one of his videos? I don't want to. But I will. That's what it requires to find a time and place. Post the link, Cloud. We were waiting. You did? I don't see any link. Oh, let me put it on live chat instead of top chat. It's probably on top chat. Yeah, it is. Okay, there. Now it's live chat. Did you? I don't see any link. There. Okay, good. I don't hate him at all. I don't even think about him until people bring him up around here. It never crosses my mind. Where's SI? Eric's SI creative? The creative function is like a gift to the world. How is Eric using SI beyond himself? The creative function, the tool function? I did laugh at he came in here to chat and tried to say one time. And I destroyed him, and that's why he's hates me so much. I'm be more than happy to do it. Sure. Okay. Anytime. All you have to do is. So I just put a link, put the wherever.com. I'm here right now. I'm waiting for him, and hopefully he shows up. Yeah, I know my nose has a scratch. It's because what I do is I have these little worms in my nose, and I go like this. I squeeze my nose. Little worms come out, and they clean them up. Sometimes I squeeze a little hard, or I'll get like that spot where one of my pores is clogged, and I'll poke at it too much, and then I'll start to bleed. So here's the link I put for him. But it's a small room, so maybe I should put a bigger room. Let's see if one of the bigger rooms is better. It's available. Yeah, this one's better. Let's do it in here, and then other people can come in here as well. Okay. I have nasal polyps. I don't know what nasal polyps are. I just have little worms in my nose. You know, it's basically my pores get clogged. That's all. So let me back to that link. I don't even think about him until people bring him up around here. It never crosses my mind. Where's SI? Eric's SI creative? The creative function is like a gift to the world. How is Eric using SI beyond himself? The creative function, the tool function? I'm happy to say.
kid left, and he came in here to chat and try to debate me one time. And I destroyed him, and that's why he's hates me so much. I'm be more than happy to debate. Sure, anytime. All you have to do is shoot me a message or whatever.
Okay. So here's the link I put here as well as there for him. I put waiting, so hopefully he'll show up, you know. Okay, well, this is the fucking problem I have. It's simple enough. Just fucking come on, let's go. I don't want to waste a bunch of time. You know, this guy's an idiot. I don't want to waste a bunch of time on him. You know, let's go. Both parties can get ready. There's nothing to get ready for. He's a fucking clown. I already know everything I need to know. There is no issue with my nose, you guys. My pores get clogged. Everybody gets these little worms. Whatever. It's not a problem with my nose. I got a little aggressive and picking at it. Not a big deal. Nothing to go see a doctor about for sure. You know. Is it happening now? Well, if he shows up, I'm waiting. I'm at the place where I put the link to. I'll go encourage him to come then. Okay. Cloud, what? I'm ready. Let's go. You said he's good to go, so I'm good to go. Let's go. I'm not hurrying. It happens to be a good time right now. You know. If I don't do it now, it's not going to happen before Thursday or Friday because I take it's not until Thursday morning, 12:05 a.m. or so, you know, that I take Rachel back to the airport, and it's just not going to happen between now and then. So if it's going to happen before Thursday or Friday, then it's going to happen right now. If it doesn't happen right now, it's not going to happen until Thursday, Friday at the earliest. Queen's Gambit. If you're watching this, which I'm assuming you are, since you seem desperately interested in me, if you really want to debate me, come get it over with now. Or if you don't want to do it right now or can't do it right now or not available or something, it's going to have to be either Friday, Saturday, you know, this upcoming weekend or the week after. It's not going to be, maybe I could do it Friday, but I'm not going to be engaged in a lot of nonsense between now and then. I've got just a couple days left here with my girlfriend, and I don't want to have some scheduled thing in between now and her leaving. Nobody said that, but she's pointing out that, you know, it's implicit in my type, I guess. I'm in Los Angeles. Okay? But look, just because I said it's not going to happen before Friday doesn't mean it's going to happen Friday. I don't like to schedule things that far in advance, and I don't know what my schedule is going to be this week. And there's no reason for me to be so accommodating to somebody who's not thus far shown any capacity to engage in reasonable discourse, who's just clowning. So, you know, maybe that will change. Maybe he'll have some sort of actual reasonable discourse. If it turns out he's just clowning, in other words, he's not actually conversing with me, having a real conversation, not actually engaging, not being responsive, conversation's not going to last very long. I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to be I'm not going to participate in some sort of merry prankster bullshit. I don't respect what he does. Thus far, I haven't seen anything I respect. So if he's going to earn my respect, he's going to have to earn it. He might, but he's going to have to be legit. He can't just be clowning. So I'm not going to pick a time that far in advance, Cloud. Sorry. I would be happy to throw it out there anytime I'm inclined to debate. Hopefully he'll be ready at the same time at some point. Maybe Friday or Saturday I'll be ready to then schedule something. But all I know is I'm not scheduling anything before Rachel leaves. And scheduling beyond that, fuck that noise. Not for this joker. Can you join the stream and clown? I am happy to debate the guy. I'm happy to debate anybody. And anybody who is serious in their conversations with me, in other words, is interested in engaging discursively rather than just, abusing the platform, so to speak, will discover a very competent and respectful partner in that discourse. If, however, somebody thinks they're going to clown me, that's not going to happen. Not today or any other day ever. Not this guy, certainly. You hear me? Queen's Gambit. So, Cloud, be prepared to evaluate whether, in fact, your boy here is. It's unfair for me to expect what? That he not be there just to clown? It's unfair to expect him to be responsive in some way to what I say? That it's unfair to expect him to be there to do something other than troll? That's unfair? You gotta be fucking kidding me. It's unfair of me to not want someone to waste my time? Cloud, I'm not interested in acting like an ENTP. I don't give a fuck what you think of what my type is. And because I'm an actual ENTP, I don't give a fuck about acting like an ENTP. I'm not trying to establish something for other people in that regard. I am what I am. There's no avoiding it. Why do I have to call him a clown? Thus far, he's done nothing but clown-like things that I've seen. He's okay. Look, Cloud. An ad hominem is not an insult. Ad hominem is using a person to justify an argument. It means like this person's argument is bad because he's a bad person. That's an ad hominem fallacy. Simply saying somebody's a bad person is just insulting them. I'm not justifying anything with my insults. You might ask me to justify my insults, in which case I'd say, the guy's done nothing but clown-like behaviors so far that I've seen. So that's why I call him a clown. I'm insulting him. I'm not justifying any conclusions with my perceptions of him. It's not a fallacy. It's an insult. For God's sakes. People do this shit all the time. They say like, you wouldn't ad hominem me. Insulting a person is not a fallacy. It's an insult. It's not a reason for something. It's not justifying anything. So that's not, just because you insult somebody doesn't mean there's an ad hominem, quote unquote. You have to justify a conclusion I don't expect him to show up at a moment's notice. I acknowledge that he might not be able to show up right now. and that's perfectly reasonable, that he might not be available right now. That's okay. I am willing to schedule it. But what I'm saying is, if I doesn't have them right now, I'm not going to be able to schedule it until Friday or Saturday, which point I will schedule it then. Okay. But I'm not going to schedule that far in advance. So no, head in the clouds. I don't expect him to show up at a moment's notice. I give him the opportunity to do so, however, and it sure would be more convenient for both of us if he would. However, if that's not possible, I understand, and I will schedule something eventually, but I'm not going to even think about it until after Rachel goes. This is not my priority. It's Cloud's. Might be Queen's Gambit's as well. I don't know. I suspect he's of mixed feelings about it. It's like he doesn't know if he's going to be able to pull this off or not. If he's going to try to show up and just be a troll and clown, it's not going to last very long, the conversation, because I'm not going to let him waste my time. He's got to actually be responsive and trying to engage in discourse with me. But he knows, as well as I, as well as everybody else, that if he were to actually do that, he's got no chance in the world. So he's either going to avoid it or just clown / troll when he actually has a conversation with me, or otherwise attempt to ignore and or countervene or otherwise negate the TI supremacy. So whatever it is he does is not going to be successful is the point. It makes it probably likely that he's not going to actually show up at any point, even if I were to schedule it. Might be his best form of trolling would be to schedule it and then not show up. Then he doesn't really have to be, he doesn't have to be displayed. His shortcomings don't have to be on display so much. If he actually has a conversation with me that is reasonable and engaged back and forth, and he's responding to what I'm saying and vice versa, then it's going to be evident how little he knows in very short order, that his claims aren't substantiated, that he can't justify what he says at all. So obviously he wants to avoid that, but now that I've spiked out him just trolling and clowning, he doesn't know what he's going to do. He wants a really good debate, not trolling me? Okay, well, he can believe his opinions all he wants. That doesn't change the fact that he can't substantiate or justify them to the extent that they're exclusive of mine. And as a consequence, he's going to lose. And that's fine. If he really wants to debate, and that's great. You'll see what happens, Well, Cloud, he's definitely been a clown towards me. He seems to be kind of obsessed about me. Like, he made this video where he's screaming, man, I don't know what the fuck he was doing. And then he decided to, just do type police videos, call them type police. He's obviously got some sort of weird post-Eric fetish. I don't know. I think you're ENTP, by the way, not ISJ like Queen's Gambit says. Anyone who's followed your channel will must see that. Well, yeah, I mean, anybody who's followed my channel at all or knows anything about me would concede that ENTP is the most likely candidate. Cloud. Cloud. It's like I've got probably more videos on Metasoap than I do on CS Joseph. Do you know who Metasoap is? This lady that was like you, but like 5 years ago that I argued with a lot. I probably got more videos on Brittany than I do on CS Joseph. Probably have as many videos on MBTV with Damon Gray, formerly Jack Crandall, as I do on CS Joseph. I've probably got as many videos on, no, not for making 2 videos on me, for making 2 videos on me and co-opting, let's use the nicest word possible, co-opting type police and simply claiming it as his own, basically. And, good for him. He's good at stirring up the YouTube drama. That's fine. Good. Is he obsessed with me? Yeah, I would think that probably you can his whole channel is driven by the fact that he was mad at me and felt the need to listen. Cloud, good for him. I'm not condemning him for this. People get into shit for whatever reason. The thing is, it's not a matter of how many total videos. It's a matter of percentage of stuff in a person's, portfolio that links back to. Cloud, that's so silly. It's not the same thing at all. You know that. Come on now. No, Cloud, come on now. Look, it's fine to disagree with me and try to negate me and try to provoke me or whatever, but don't just straight up lie about things. Come on. You can do better than that. Yeah, I mean, who knows why he cares about me so much? A lot of people do. This is the thing. I elicit a lot of strong relationships from people. Like Cloud, for example, thinks it's very important, his relationship with me in this channel. I will go now. I will say it. And he keeps insisting the same points or whatever. You go ahead and believe whatever the hell you want, Cloud. You expect to convince me? No. You just want me to either respond, be provoked, I don't know, whatever. So remember, Cloud, I am actually a teacher and a debate coach. I use whiteboards for my work long before C.S. Joseph ever got on YouTube. Duh. Okay. I have old videos. Whatever. Why do I even talk to you? I don't even know. I don't hate you. Cloud, I don't give a fuck about you that much. Will you stop overstating your own importance in my life? I don't hate you. I like you. I enjoy engaging with you overall. I think you're a good addition to the community. You seem to think that because your points are wrong, that expresses something of my feelings about you. Your points and you are different things, okay? Your points are unrelated to you. I absolutely like having you around here. I have no problem with you at all. You've not done anything bannable remotely. I value you as a community member. When have I ever said anything to the contrary? I don't remember what Court's gestures did or said that got him banned, but he obviously crossed some lines that, it's like you, I believe, have some honesty within you, So I'll imagine for just a few minutes that this is pretend. Pretend host there is not an HP and Cloud is correct. Then what, Cloud? What have you accomplished? What is the fucking point? I'll be the first to admit I don't know enough to agree with you or disagree. I can never give you an argument on anything, but I know how you are fair about things. I do like how you are fair about things. Thank you, Email Anthrax. I am fair about things. Cloud, truth is valuable. Truth is valuable. I mean, SFJ that wants everyone to be happy. Well, I mean, if I just wanted you to be happy, wouldn't I at some point just agree with you instead of continuing to point out where you're wrong every time? I wonder. So, anyway, the point is, Winston's mom, Cloud wants to get engaged in some sort of debate with me, I guess, and he's got kind of a, oh, now you're calling me an ISFJ. But see, Cloud, what wasn't last time we had this debate, you were calling me an ESFJ? I'm pretty sure you were. You were quite definitive about that. So please explain to me why it is that we should believe you, whose opinion about the matter changes from minute to minute, over me, whose opinion about it has stayed resolute since the very first time that I determined my type. Okay, so I'm making all the same arguments. You're now going to make a new set of arguments that conflict with the arguments you made last time, right? It's okay, so you were wrong last time. Fair enough. Now you want to make new arguments. There's nothing fallacious about doing that, and there is something fallacious about me saying that you're necessarily wrong because you're contradicting yourself from before. You could be wrong before and have learned and be correct this time. That's true. Okay. And that's also true. The differences are delicate between ESFJ and ISFJ. Okay. So which of the wrong arguments from last time, though, are you having to kick in order to make your new arguments? So I'd like to hear those kicked. Say, okay, well, I said this about you last time that proved you were ESFJ, but it was wrong. And here's why. Here's what was wrong about it. Now, if you could do that, you don't remember your main arguments. Well, then why were you convinced I was ESFJ in the first place? The only reason to be convinced I'm something in the first place is because of the arguments you eventually present. It's not the other way around. You don't decide what you think I am and then come up with arguments. The arguments reveal to you what I am. So the arguments come before the conclusion. You've got it backwards. You're convinced I'm not an ENTP. But, okay, if you were going to do that, then you'd have to have good reasons, good understandings of what it means to be an ENTP. Not how an ENTP behaves typically, but what it actually means to do a process analysis of an ENTP. What an ENTP, how an ENTP thinks, how an ENTP would respond to something or not respond to something. Not whether or not they're go-lucky or serious. Things like that are not ways to type people that are successful because they don't analyze processes. They just analyze correlates. Well, I'm still waiting here for whereby in whereby.com for Queen's Gambit. So we've given him at least a half an hour so far. He may, like you said, not be available right now, and that's totally believable and understandable. It's not reasonable to me to expect everyone to be available the minute I am. But I would point out that I made a genuine and concerted effort to make this happen. And for anyone who thinks I'm avoiding the guy, you are wrong. I will sit here for another 10 or 15 minutes, and hopefully he'll arrive. And if he does, then I'll make the point of chatting with him long enough to determine if he's actually there to have a real debate. Okay? Well, Clyde, you did. You made it happen. Look, I'm here. We get, sort of a conditional strike one. If I give him a lot of opportunities like this, time and time again, I put it out there, here I am, I'm waiting. He didn't show up. Well, then we can draw some conclusions. Right now, we can't really draw any conclusions. He might just genuinely not be available. So that's called a fair and accurate assessment of things that I'm providing to somebody who I'm quite confident will never be fair or reasonable about me. So, it's like I don't have a lot of faith in his ability or willingness to deal with me as a human being, but I could be wrong. I saw a wonderful little dog this morning outside. The lady was taking her little dog for a walk, and I said, "Oh, what a nice little dog." And I went down and I pet the little dog, and he got up on his hind leg and he licked me in the face. I said, "Thank you, little dog." And the lady was happy because, you can tell another dog person when you see one. She looked just like, well, she didn't look anything like Lacey. She was different, much lighter color, a little chubbier, but the same basic concept of dog, It's like, again, the slabs give me a little hello from beyond the grave from Lacey this morning. That's NI nuttiness, right? Is believing things like that this means that and that means this and blah, 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 blah. But synchronicity is sometimes so overwhelmingly compelling that you can't avoid it. Not in that instance. That doesn't seem to have any sort of implicit synchronicity, but a lot of times it does. And hence my heart is filled with Portent Gladness. Okay, that's the end of this live stream. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to eat plenty of cheese. And if you do, eat twice as much cheese next time.